Hey YouTubeverse. So I just got myself the Ember from Sierra Madre Research, or SMR, and these are my initial thoughts on the Ember out of the box. So right away, a few things that you're going to find about the packaging is that you're going to get a battery pack and you're going to get also the charger. The charger is a 60-watt charger, which is quite impressive. It's actually really huge, and it is a substantial improvement above most chargers, which is great. It's fantastic. The charge time is very quick. It also is a USB-C charger, so that's fantastic. You need that to really charge the battery because the battery for the Ember is substantial, to say the least. It's a big battery and it's meant to be. You could even use this for other devices, but be careful with power ratings because that can throw the things off and actually damage your battery. That's how powerful the charger is from Sierra Madre. The Ember is a very well constructed and very well designed jacket or pullover. You have the option to choose either a jacket or a pullover. I chose the pullover, and I don't necessarily know if I have done my research prior. This is part of a Kickstarter campaign, which Kickstarter, I have my, kind of back and forths with that, but anyway, this was part of a Kickstarter campaign, so I got a reduced price on this, and I chose, for my wife and I, a pullover. Now, one of the things, I'm going to definitely link it in the description below, is a very descriptive and very accurate video from Richard Rhett, the owner and founder of Sierra Madre Research, as to what this really is. And I feel like that was a much more descriptive and accurate representation of the product than necessarily some of the other videos before it. The thing I will say about this pullover that I ordered a pullover, is that it is a very good, and as Richard Rhett and all of the, and as I say in the videos, this is a very good mid-weight garment. This is a mid-weight item. This is not necessarily the best outer shell. It's not intended to be. The video that I will link is exactly what he described it to be. So you're getting exactly what he describes. Just know what you're getting. With that said, the build quality with this pullover that I ordered is really, really good. I did order on the long side or the big side. I was in conversations with the team prior to finalizing it, because of my chest size and because of my arm length is a little bit different than the ratios that are typically there. They said go ahead and order on the long side, and if you need to, go ahead and send it back in, which is fine. That's great. And I'm going to have to do that. But the build quality is great, the stitching is great, the outer shell is definitely water resistant, and you can tell that this is a very well put together garment for especially a pullover. The pullover has several features. Just to start off from the top to the bottom, it has two top or chest pockets. Now there aren't any USB charger ports from there, they're just pockets, and that's fine. The middle of your stomach, or the middle of the entire garment, is a kangaroo style pocket. So you have a left and a right zipper, and they zip up or zip down and into the kangaroo pocket style. The pocket style is not made of fleece, but something similar to it, and it's very warm. I found it to be very useful and very beneficial. Just my impressions. I also liked that the zippers had that little sort of a contour thumb dongle, if you will, to pull up and down. The attachment to the zipper made it very easy. I really love that, and I wish that more companies did that. So that's very good for Sierra Madre. I just think that's fantastic. The other thing that I did notice is that they have the breathable mesh all the way from your wrist down to your waist on the pullover. Now the jacket is different. The jacket doesn't have that. And one of the things I did not know was that the pullover is more vented or more breathable than the jacket. The jacket will retain more heat. But in terms of the actual design, you will have a continuous running strip from your wrist to your waist on the pullover, which makes it very breathable. And that's a great thing, so you don't have to get too warm or too hot. Also, another thing that I noticed was that, and it's in the videos that they produce as well, is that there is something of a glove feature. It's tucked on the inside of the wrist. You can unsnap it and take it out, and you have slots for your digits. It's not exactly a glove, but it's a nice interpretation of one. Also, while I'm on that subject matter, there are some discreet, as they say, and I will echo that, thumb holes for you to place with your thumbs inside the wrists. And it makes it nice and wearable. Had I ordered an appropriately sized Ember, this would have fit much better. It is too large, and I thought that might be the case, so I erred on that side of caution. I can always send that in and get that changed. Not a big deal. Overall, that was a good thing to do for me because I just want to make sure I didn't get anything too small. The fit is great, the feel is great, and I don't have any problems with that. So overall, I think that the build quality and everything is good, and I don't have any issues with that. So those are my pros. That the build quality is good, that the stitching is great, that the fit is good, that is breathable, that you have these pockets, and that's really what I was hoping for, but also the heat. Because this is their second wave of their heated wearable tech. So let me transition to some of the other things that I've experienced with this. I did take this out as I got this on a Friday, and I took it out the very next day on a Saturday morning when it was 45 degrees. And I did have a battery pack powered up, and it was powered on full, and it was okay. And I understand that I bought too big, so it wasn't exactly snug by any stretch of the measure. But it definitely wasn't as warm as I thought it might be at 45 degrees. However, it was going to get cooler as the morning went on before true official sunrise. So just after sunrise, when I took this out around here in northern Nevada, it was at 39 degrees. Probably closer to 35, but the official temperature I think was 39 or 36. I went outside for my morning walk with just a t-shirt and the Ember. And then I put it on high, well, with my gloves and my beanie, and I had my battery pack powered up. So I thought, let's just take this out. Here's my first initial impressions for you guys. So I went and I took it out. And to start off, the high setting, just like the Hot Pocket, and I can link that in the cards up above, but the high setting starts off at 15 minutes, and then it shuts off. Same thing with the Hot Pocket. Now, what's different with this is that you can actually continue to cycle the hot setting or the high setting, which they don't advise with the Hot Pocket. So I like that. And I did that. And it seemed to start to work. This is something that I think would work best, or a product, a mid-weight that I think would work best with a pack on. They do say it's a jacket to wear through multiple seasons, but I really feel, and after having worn it outside in the cold, I really feel like this was probably best with a pack on, in my opinion, especially if you're going to go in the backcountry. You'd want a pack on, just so that way the heat panel is actually on you. Which, another kudos to Sierra Madre, you really don't feel the heat panels, not much at all. You know they're there, but they're not obtrusive at all on the front or the back, which you have the sort of the working front, and then the back is just one big thing, and you really don't feel them. They're not obtrusive at all. The graphene is fine. I would say that they did have to change their design with Rona from 2020, and it was a good design change in that they went to graphene because the feel is much better. But we'll get to something else in the future, or a little bit in the video here, that maybe they could have done something different with the battery placement. But anyways, so as I walked through my neighborhood and went through all of that, it was fine. It was okay. It did a good job. It was appropriately warm for the temperature, you know, and I had it on the high setting. I put it on the low setting, and that really didn't really do anything at all. It kind of, we'll save that for later. But anyways, I was on the high setting, and I was able to cycle through that several times, one after the other. On the instructional videos or the how-to videos, they say 2 times, but I actually used it 4 times, back to back, and it was fine. You can cycle between low and high and low. It's fine. It doesn't matter. The product works, and that was not a problem at all. So overall, I had no issues with the quality of the product in terms of its build. The stitching was great. The heat was okay. Going through that, and I'll get into some more of that in a minute. But overall, it was really good. Now to turn to some of the stuff that I wish they kind of had done differently, or some of the stuff that was really kind of different than what I expected. I'm going to start with the battery pack. So the battery pack is not light. In the Kickstarter videos that I subscribed to and that I backed in the campaign, it had a snapshot. I took a snapshot and I'll put it up in the video here, but in their video, they had the battery going towards your belly in a compartment. I imagine they had to figure out something to do with this thing to accommodate both a pullover and a jacket, because originally they didn't have 2 designs, they had one, and they received feedback, and so they changed, and that's fine, that's great. But I think that they had to find something. Well, where the heck do you put this battery pack? And they chose to put it in the lower back. I think that was a design flaw, because I felt like it was always pulling me back a little bit. The entire time on my walk, it felt like it was always pulling me back. And if you had a pack on, I don't know how that would really fit or feel with you. It's right at the lower back, and if I had an appropriately sized pullover, it would have been right at my waist, and that's right where the end of my pack sits. So that could have been digging into my lower back. So I don't know why they did that. And also, something that really confused me, and they even had it on their how-to video, was the zipper is really small. It's abnormally small, and there's not a latch or an attachment or anything like they have with the front and the sides on your chest. It's just there, and it's a very, very small zipper. Not easy to get in and out of the battery pack. So to unzip and zip, it's not hard, it's not terrible, but it's definitely a very small zipper handle. So I was a little confused by that, and I wasn't really happy with the placement of it being in the middle of your back. It just felt like it was always bringing me backwards, and I felt like it was always being pulled backwards. But that being said, one other thing that was noticeable on my walk in the morning, when it was about, again, 36 to 39, and it's pretty consistent. Before the sun came up, it was that temperature. After the sun came up, it was about 45-ish degrees. Before the sun came up, my arms were cold. They were. I could just feel myself trying to, well, what I did was I actually rubbed my arms so that way I could go ahead and warm myself up. one of the things that they do mention on the instructional video is that the pullover is much more vented than the jacket, and the jacket holds more heat. Well, with that being said, I can attest to it. Yes, your back below the heat panel definitely gets chilly. It definitely does. The heat panel can be okay, but below that, you're gonna have some draft. And your underarms and the under of your arm, all the way from your wrist to your armpit and below, that's gonna get cold. In fact, my wife even said when I got home and I took it off that my underarms were red. Well, because of the cold. Because the fabric is that breathable. So that's not a bad thing per se. It's very breathable. Yes, it's great. But on a cold morning, that's not necessarily the best. So one of the things I would probably dispute or argue about the Ember from the instructional video that they have is that once it gets down into the single digits or the low teens, you will want to have a shell over the Ember. I don't think you can get that low and be comfortable at all with the pullover. In my opinion, you're probably gonna tap out at comfort at the very lowest at freezing, 32F. At 32F, you're not gonna be able to do that. It's just not gonna happen, period. Yeah, so I think you're gonna have to have an outer shell over the Ember to insulate that heat, probably around 35 degrees is what I would think. I was getting a bit chilly at 39, so that's my experience out of the gate. Also, I would say that having run 4 cycles on the high setting continuously, and with the sun coming up and getting about 45-ish, not quite 45, I did start to get really warm. So that, yes, I was really warm. But prior to that, I was a little bit nippy, and you needed to be moving. So I'm not sure I really agree with Sierra Madre on the idea that you can take this all the way down to the upper teens before you need to actually start getting a shell above that to trap the heat. I think that for the pullover at least, that's not a realistic opportunity or expectation. To me, that's just what I felt. And I had a down beanie on with gloves, by the way. The other thing I would say that would be something of a con or a criticism is that the heat. And this is the same thing that I have had with the Hot Pocket. That the heat, the high setting is nice, it's warm, but I want that to be the low. The low setting is really, to me, not useful. I don't see the efficacious use of the low setting. I just don't get it. It doesn't really do anything for me at all. I don't have any appreciable heat. I want the low, as they have it now today, to actually be the high, and then make the high higher. And I would like to also, the same thing with the Hot Pocket, I would like it to be more than 15 minutes before it shuts off. If they could space that out and make that more than 15 minutes before it shuts off, great. But as it stands now, my criticism, my main criticism with this product is that, just like with the Hot Pocket, the heat on the high setting I just want it higher, and I want it longer. I want that to be the sustained amount of heat. And I can adjust my pack, I can adjust my layers, I can adjust all of that, with that being the constant. But yeah, that's my big criticism of this. The only other criticism I would have of the Ember, and I'm gonna pull up my phone just to make sure I got it right. So I ordered this, like I said, off of Kickstarter. If you were to just navigate to their page from Google, like I am right now, today, to order just the men's large pullover with the UL, not the XL battery pack, this mid-weight as they have said, and it's true, it's a midweight garment. This product, this niche product, comes in at $388 without tax, without shipping. $388 for a midweight garment. Now that's my other criticism, is that this is a high price point. So I'm not gonna really say more than that. Just my opinion. I'm gonna leave it up to you as to whether or not you want to purchase a midweight garment with extra weight with the pack at $388 plus. And that's just the pullover, that's not the jacket. I haven't looked that up yet. I don't really plan to either, because I'm not gonna order that. But that's the price point for the Sierra Madre Ember pullover. And that's not the XL battery. That's not with any other additions. That's $388, and then you got tax and all that stuff. So overall, I think this is exactly what the company put out. I think it's a good product. I don't think it's something I'm going to necessarily wear into the backcountry per se, only because I would probably need to send it in, get a more appropriate size. I really want to have a pack on me so the heat panels are directly on me. When I did have a pack on in the morning, I did feel good. It did feel warm. It took me about 4 cycles, like I said, to really get the garment warm and really going. But for the price point, I'm a bit gun shy on that. But this is definitely something out there. It's definitely very, very well built. And the construction is fantastic, like I said a few times. So I will go ahead and leave it to you. Decide whether or not you want to invest that kind of money for a midweight garment. I do think there is something of a market there. I think that this could be improved upon. I would love to see the heat be rated higher for the high. I would love to see the heat and the duration be longer. I don't think that that's going to necessarily change. I don't know if they will or won't, but I would love to see that. And my other thoughts are that they could maybe daisy chain batteries, if that's even a possibility. I don't even know. But otherwise, this is a great midweight. I don't know if it's something that I would take beyond the mild temperatures, as they say in the video. This is great for mild temperatures. So whatever mild means to you. For me, mild is around 35 to 40. I say 40. 40 is mild for me. Living out here where I live in northern Nevada, I'm used to that temperature. So for me, that's pretty much where I'm at all the time. I would love to have this go down into the freezing temperatures, but that's just not going to happen. And even with a midweight and a shell over it, with a shell, I think it would be great. But yeah, that's just my impressions. First time out of the gate. I will definitely give it another try in the mornings when it's cold. It's getting warmer now, but when it's cooler, I'll just give it a shot and see if it really does kind of keep me warm. Like I said, my biggest criticisms are that it is not as hot as I'd really like it to be, and the duration of the hot cycle, I'd love that to be the 6 to 8 hour cycle. But the pros are that this thing is really well built, has great stitching, it is water resistant, it is nicely fit, and they have done a fantastic job on the look. This is a really good looking jacket or pullover, whatever you decide to buy. This is really good looking. I hate to say this, but let me add one more con. Because the battery is on the back, you're going to, for a pullover, you're going to hit your head on the back of your head with the battery pack. It's going to happen. There's no way around it. At some point, you're going to smack the back of your head with the battery pack. So I guess that's one recommendation, is to have them look at another placement of the battery, because for the pullovers, it's just not, it's not great. You're gonna have to pull it over your back, move your head, and at some point you're gonna forget and you're gonna hit your head. You're gonna hit your head. So I did on the third time, putting it all on and off and everything. So anyways, those are my experiences with the Ember, and I hope you enjoyed this a little bit. You found it a little bit useful, and you have some idea as to what you might experience if you decide to order this, should you decide to pay the $388 plus and such and such and such, and then there's other additions and such. But this is my experience so far. I will continue to try this out, and if I want to kind of give an update, I think I will. Maybe we'll see how things go. It's getting a little bit too warm now to really do this, but anyways, I really enjoyed the jacket so far, but as far as a hot thing or a warm thing, I think that there's some room there for improvement. Great idea, Sierra Madre. I think there's some room there, especially with the placement of the pack and making that duration longer of the heat and making the heat more intense, if you at all can, if at all. Anyways, thanks so much for watching this and listening to me ramble, and have a great one, and I will definitely, hopefully, see you outside. So take care, everyone. Bye.